In the age of social media, information spreads far and wide, whether it's true or false. Good morning, I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno, and this is At the Forefront. On Monday, the Senate started its own probe into the spread of false information online. Senator Rodante Marcoleta complained about the supposed inaction of a fact-checking organization on online misinformation involving him. But the organization said fighting disinformation online involves everyone. One proposal being pushed is limiting Filipinos to one account in a social networking site. To give us his insights on the matter, we'll be speaking with Jeffrey E.N.D. He's a former undersecretary at the Department of Information and Communication Technology. He's also the host of Tech Bytes, a weekly program here on BNC. Good morning, Yusek Ian.
Good morning, Atty. Karen.
Yusek Ian, while you're still stuck in traffic at inaantay namin kayo dumating dito sa studio, we'll start our conversation. Yeah. So this Monday, Senate held a hearing on fake news and disinformation. So what problem are they trying to address? Kasi parang nalilito pa yung mga tao sa difference between disinformation or misinformation and fake news. May agreement na ba as to the definition of what fake news is?
Good question, Atty. Karen. Ang first problem natin is that there is no definition of fake news. Now, there are three types of misinformation. We have misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Misinformation is fine. We all make mistakes. Disinformation kasi is malicious. You're trying to spread information that is not correct willingly, knowingly. So yan yung dapat natin i-combat. So the first part is, ano ba talaga ang fake news? So should we punish everyone that invents this information, for example? Second problem, of course, is how do we also define the different players or characters when it comes to fake news? For example, yung una, yung gumawa. The first one is the creator, no? The second is the one who's spreading it. But the one who's spreading it could also be a victim of this information. They believe the information so much, they believe it to be true. So, these are ito yung dapat i-hurdle ng Congress when it comes to fake news.
But Yusek Ian, yung dating mga hearings, even in the House of Representatives, may mga vloggers na nagsasabi, hindi naman sila fake news kasi hindi naman daw sila purveyor of news. So, as far as they're concerned, they're expressing their opinions sa vlogs nila or what they're eating or what they think, but they're saying, hindi kami news. So, dapat hindi kami dinilabel as fake news. What's your take on that?
Attorney Karen, yan din yung problema natin. Actually, pati hindi lang vloggers. Pati rin tayong mga hosts, no? Mga talk show hosts, writers, anchors, etc. Lagyan mo lang ng I think, yung isang phrase, or lagyan mo lang ng maybe, you get an excuse saying that, well, I'm expressing an opinion, etc., etc. So I don't think it's an excuse to say you're not a purveyor of news. I think mali naman yun, no? Ilagay natin sa investment scam, for example. Para lang ma-define natin ang mabuti ano ba yung tinatawag natin na news. Pag ikaw ay isang so-called expert sa investment, sinabi mo, meron akong 90% probability na tataas itong klase ng investment instrument na ito. Hindi tumaas. So safe ka na, di ba? Sabihin mo, sinabi ko naman sa'yo, 90% eh. Pero ibang usapan pag sinabi mo sa akin, no, I'm sure aakyat ito. In fact, I'm willing to give you your 10% every month because this investment is sure. O tanungin ko naman paliktarin ko naman ngayon yung sitwasyon. Nung tawag mo doon, di ba fake news din yun? Sinabi mo, sure
so, ibig sabihin, hindi dapat strict yung definition natin na pag news, ito yung mga official news na galing sa mga news platforms.
Yes.
So, yes. So in this
lalo na ngayon sa age
investigation,
ng social media.
yeah. Well, so ano po yung do you think is a right path to combat disinformation, fake news, without censorship or without limiting freedom of expression?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, you will really limit and censor. No, I'm not saying this the evil way. I'm not saying this the bad way, but these two principles or policies contradicts each other. So, um, number one, if you try to tell people that if you are a purveyor of truth, you're saying that what you're saying is truth, even to a certain degree, then you are liable for whatever it is that you say. Okay? So that by itself is already censorship. Because you are, number, criminal liability is different, ha? Yun lang babantayan mo yung sasabihin ng tao. Right? Yun lang babantayan mo yung buong social media, yung YouTube, yung vloggers. Censorship na agad yun. And then second, lalabanan mo sa korte dahil meron ka ng definition of fake news. Siyempre, may mga certain rights ka ngayon na i-curtail ng state, but for the betterment of the people. Yun naman ang magiging argument ng Congress, di ba? I am trying to limit your freedom of expression, but that is because I want to also protect the state and its people against fake news. So, it's tricky. In fact, maraming bansa, so I went to Singapore when I was an undersecretary, I went to the United Kingdom, discussing the same problem. Usually what they do is that they define fake news by periods or by season. For example, in Singapore, binaban lang nila yung quote-unquote fake news if it is pertaining to a particular candidate during elections.
Okay. Parang pag
So
merong
outside
threat.
of elections.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. Sa UK, ganoon din. Sasabihin nila, only when it pertains to, for example, investments or financials. When you say that this something, yung example ko kanina na financial instrument or investment instrument, if you say that this is sure, pero hindi naman, wala namang sure sa financial world, di ba? So, yon fraud na sa kanila yon. And they don't define it as fake news, they define it as fraud.
Okay. So basically, yung merong potential cause of harm, yun ang ginagawa nilang enforcement against fake news in other countries.
That is correct.
Oo.
Yung may irreversible harm.
Well, kung meron tayong definition ng fake news, for example, if we can all agree that disinformation and fake news are the same and should be prevented, then fact checkers or fact-checking bodies are very important. And in one of the hearings held in the House of Representatives, Rafael Frankel, who's Meta, the owner of Facebook, their director of public policy in Southeast Asia, stressed that their partnership with Philippine fact-checking organizations is a key component in its campaign against disinformation. Is Facebook doing enough to fight fake news by having these types of partnerships?
Well, that's a tough question. No? Are they doing enough? Partnership is one thing, but being able to enforce it inside the platform is another. The very fact that there are two issues inside Facebook. Do you know that Facebook now has what is called an AI declaration? No? So, pwede mong itag yung post mo as AI, and they'll say, okay na. Diba? Sinabi mo naman, AI generated itong post mo. Pero ang tanong ko, malalaman mo ba? No, Karen, I also teach I also teach Asian Institute of Management right now as an adjunct professor. And you know, our problem right now is that even if you use Turnitin, it's a system that actually detects if your essays, your homework is made by AI. My problem here is even Turnitin makes a mistake. They're saying, no, this is legit. So, and we tried putting in relatively false information. And what they will detect is that it could be, same lang problema natin, opinion. Di ba, sinabi ko, may kinalaman sa ang tawag doon, yung COVID-19 vaccines.
Yeah.
sasabihin niya, COVID-19 vaccines are good, they're reliable, no, they're proven to work, but there are some opinions that, there are some people who share your opinion. So di ba parang, binasa mo yung, pag binasa mo yung synthesis ng AI, pwede pala to eh, pwede pala paniwalaan na the vaccine is bad eh.
Yeah.
So,
I also use Turnitin
Yeah.
because I'm also a professor in a law school and we have to check papers. And because now, laging ginagamit ng mga ChatGPT or even Google, then you need to detect which ones are lifted, plagiarized, or created by AI. So you're saying, hindi pala accurate yun. Hindi necessarily 100% accurate that it can
Una lang.
detect.
Ako na lang eh, ako mismo, I tried it, no? So I tried to answer my own questions using my own words. Lumabas sa akin, 56% AI generated. So yun,
Okay.
wala akong ginamit na, I didn't even browse my answers.
Siguro pag may kapareho
So,
ka
yeah.
online. No? So, do social media platforms have the ability to detect AI kung hindi mo i-declare na AI-generated or deepfake yung content?
I don't think they do. Number one, it's too, human, you need human labor or human intelligence for that. But what they're doing is also use AI to fight AI, and as proven by Turnitin and some other instruments that we use, attorney, when we're teaching, I don't think they have the capability to 100% point it out. And anecdotal ito, I'm not from Facebook, but if you look at Facebook, ang dami, di ba? Nagkalat. Hindi lang AI, No, don't get me wrong, AI is not, yun lang kasi na-equate na natin yung AI sa malicious intent like disinformation eh. But, dami eh.
Yeah.
I won't say personalities, but there are personalities, but from both camps. From BDS and also from the team supporting the president, that every day spews out disinformation. Every day, every single day. I follow them eh. That was my job when I was the undersecretary for cybersecurity. So, but Facebook is not deleting their posts, nor are they banning these personalities.
So kung ganon, what do we do? Anong ginagawa ng government natin ngayon in order to, I don't know, limit or restrict the spread of disinformation, deepfakes, or fake news?
Well, we're filing cases left and right. Diba? We started, for example, with those people who are endorsing gambling. And then the SEC is also trying to get into people who are posting or posing as experts, financial experts, especially if they're promoting investments that are not accredited by either the SEC or the BSP, most of which are crypto exchanges. So, madami, no? The PNP, I had an interview with a former PNP ACG director, General Wang, and they said that they've already filed cyber libel cases. Well, they assisted in filing cyber libel cases, left and right, against public officials. So ito yung ginagawa natin, but it's a very tough fight.
Yeah. Yusek Ian, would you
But
know
attorney,
if, kasi minention mo kanina yung spread naman ng disinformation, when it comes to those that have political leanings, it comes from all sides, kahit what you mentioned, DDS or even pro-BBM. So, may ginagawa ba ang government? Do they also take down posts or file cases when it comes to dissenting posts? Yung merong mga natag recently na destabilizers ng government. And some of the people in that list said, it's because they speak out against this administration. But before you answer this question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. We continue our conversation with former DICT Undersecretary Jeffrey Ian D. He now joins us in the studio after going through traffic. Yeah. Thank you so much, Yusek Ian. So kanina pinapag-usapan natin, since you said that what the government is doing to fight disinformation and fake news is file cases left and right. And you, as someone from the anti-cybercrime din ng DICT, you also monitored mga social media posts. But with recent developments, maraming mga naging rallies and protests against the government because of the corruption. Merong mga lumabas sa listahan na supposedly destabilizers. And those people, some of them said that it's because they speak out against this administration. Would you know if social media posts that are dissenting against the administration are also being monitored? And are there efforts to take those posts down?
Well, good point. I'll speak about my experience. Now, when I was the ICT undersecretary, of course, I was tasked to monitor cyberspace. And I was tasked to really look into people who are dissenting against government. Very specific group of people who are dissenting against the president and against government. And that's a common problem with all governments. We're only looking at those against you, even though there are also purveyors of fake news, quote-unquote yung fake news, from the other side. But let me just clarify the DSTAP. No? I think that during that particular time, remember the rally of the INC, etc., there really was destabilization attempt at that time.
Meron ba talagang attempt at that time?
Well, I'm not an authority to say that, no, but
But you just said it. So meron kang source that
yes,
confirmed that.
It confirmed that there were attempts really to go the rounds inside the PNP and the armed forces to really destabilize government and to seek their support to withdraw the nadoble na, to also withdraw their support from the president. Of course, it did not materialize, and now we're back into our holiday season. So, merong truth. What I'm trying to say is that there is truth when the president says there are destabilizers in government or against government during that time. And of course, these elements are still continuing their plot until today. No? So, meron. But Karen, disinformation is even written in the Sun Tzu's The Art of War. It's trying to win the war. It's trying to win a battle, even without engaging in physical battle. So when there is a destabilization plot, when there's a coup d'etat, etc., when we're talking about that, then disinformation becomes part of the tool.
So I guess to answer my question, pag may disinformation or let me think. Kasi kung hindi naman disinformation but it's against the administration, will they take
I presented
that down?
in Congress.
Oo,
Merong
will they take that
merong
down?
satire, there's this certain individual who says satire AMP. Ang sama talaga, ang sama ng pagkakagawa. Well, pinakita si speaker, for example, during that time. Last year pa ito kumakain ng people in a pot, no? So, masama talaga yung mga niya, satire niya, no?
Oo.
Hindi na siya satire, hindi siya nakakatuwa. Pero you cannot take it down, because it still falls within that particular margin
Of self-expression.
Yeah. At saka pangalan pa lang niya
Satire
AMP.
Oo, yes.
Sinabi na niya
Oo, kasi si Senator Robin Padilla during the Senate hearing on Monday asked resource persons if character assassination of a high-ranking public official can be considered a national security threat and warrants the removal of a social media post.
Okay.
Do you think that's a national
I
security threat? Kasi kung high-ranking official, then that would be the president. And if it's a character assassination against him, would social media posts be taken down?
Okay, so go back to what I said earlier. Sabi ko, meron talagang DSTAB nung panahon na yan. May plot talaga. Pero to label every disinformation as a national security threat, I think that's stretching it so much. No? Nakakatakot yan, lalo na we have an anti-terrorism law. So I think, no, the answer is with respect to the good Senator Robin Padilla, I don't think it's correct to label every type of disinformation as a national security threat. Tandaan mo yung iba, biktima. Sometimes you and I may be spreading disinformation also. We don't know. Binigyan, halimbawa, during this conversation, no? It could be that we gave an opinion and then we thought it to be fact. Diba? So,
Yeah.
alangan naman sabihin niya, si Jeff, destabilizer yan just because I presented something.
And there's
with,
really also a constitutional right of self-expression, so freedom of expression and speech.
Correct.
So
Correct.
medyo delikado, no?
Yes.
It might infringe on constitutional rights. Police Colonel Alex Lorenzo of the PNP said that Facebook removes content on its site if it involves threat to national security, terrorism,
Yes.
and protection of women and children.
Correct.
Are those categories enough? Do you think dapat madagdagan pa to?
Yung national security, you have to report it to them.
Hindi
siya automatic.
hindi nila nadedetect.
Correct.
Or how do they know that it's a threat to national
Yeah.
security?
So-
So, it depends. Tayo, sino po taga-report sa
Dati
atin?
ako, of course, the military, the Office of the President also, PCO, Presidential Communications Office, we all report to the SOCMED to take it down. Especially nung AI voice na ni Presidente ang ginagamit, etc. Yung mga mukha niya, no, na AI na face swap. So, pero yung child abuse, automatic sa Facebook yan. So that is fine. Child abuse, pornography. In fact, meron sila certain percent. Kung ilang percent na skin mo yung napapakita. And then they automatically take it down.
Take it down if it's too much skin. Okay.
Some vloggers are wondering, bakit namigay ako sa isang grupo ng bata, ng ayuda, for example, biglang na-take down? It's because of that. You have to blur the face of the children. Pero, so automatically, that is done. Pero yung national security, hindi. Ano yan, proven ko na yan. Even if it is the president himself, allegedly, the face of the president itself is shown on social media, they don't take it down until there's a request from
So, for example, dati yung Polvoron video, were there attempts to report that as a threat to national security?
We did.
You did? You reported that?
Yes. It took them like 24 hours to remove it.
Pero tinanggal.
Tinanggal
eventually.
nila.
Was that deep fake?
Yes, it was. Yun, I know. I can also say definitely that is deep fake. Pero to be, yan ang nga yung
Paano yun
problema natin.
nalaman? Did you use tools?
Yes. Nakikita mo may thermal graph, nakikita mo rin yung analysis of shadows.
Oo. So, Yusek Ian, dito importante rin yung mga fact-checking groups. But during the hearing, Senator Rodante Marcoleta complained about the lack of action from Verifiles. He said that there were information regarding him that was allegedly false, but they failed to act on it. Are fact-checking groups subject to regulation?
No, not right now.
Not right now.
And I don't think they should ever be, no? And I'm also a government official. I share the same sentiments, no? Sometimes inatake din naman ako. A long time ago, they accused me of hacking the same government that I was trying to protect. To be honest, may hierarchy kasi yan eh. Di ba? Hindi naman porke sikat ka, yung Verifiles will verify those. Number one, they check kung sino yung target, kung high profile, no? Number two, they also check for virality. Kung hindi naman siya viral, they don't really check it. They lack the manpower to check every nook and cranny inside cyberspace.
But kung mali ang fact-checking groups, who also gets to check na tama yung sinasabi nilang fact-check nila?
Now that becomes a let me just wala namang 100% sa mundo. 90% of the time tama naman yung fact checkers. 90% of the time. Pero pag nagkamali sila, I don't think mahanap mo yon. They also are very ethical to say, nagkamali pala ako ha. Di ba Rappler did that? Kumatok siya, sabi niya, sorry, nagkamali ako. So,
okay, so human,
fair game.
Subject to human error, but
Yeah.
they can correct themselves. And finally, there was a proposal during the hearing to ban multiple accounts in a social networking site. Is this sufficient to prevent trolls, the problem of trolling?
again, we have to define that. Kapag multiple accounts hiding in different identities, bawal naman talaga yon. Ito na. Right now, even without legislation, that is not allowed under the terms and conditions of use of all social media platforms. But it still persists. May nagbebenta nga ng account eh. So, regulating is one thing, enforcing it is another. How would you know if this is a fake account or not?
So hopeless ba yun? Paano natin ititigil ang mga trolls?
Hindi siya hopeless, pero you need platforms to do that. Hindi natin kaya siya on our own. Pero yung paghawak ng multiple accounts, okay lang yun. I have multiple accounts. All of them are Jeffrey D. I have a public account. I have an account for my...
So you should attend the hearing. Sabihin mo, hindi siya mali per se. Pwedeng multiple accounts.
And those both accounts are verified. Oo.
Yeah.
And I would even tell personalities like you, who are quite famous, no, para maiwasan mo yung harassment, to also maintain a public account and a personal and private account. na nakalock.
So that's the purpose then of multiple accounts.
That's
so,
correct.
Ibang problema, you're right, ibang problema yung trolls.
Diba?
But thank you so much, Yusek Ian. Medyo bitin yung time natin. We hope to have you back here again.
Yes, thank you.
People are bombarded with information 24/7, but netizens must gain the capacity to separate facts from opinion, between real and fake information. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Always stay at the forefront.